Forests are full of beautiful creatures, fauna, bodies of water, and vistas that attract hikers, hunters, and campers to enjoy the wilderness on a daily basis. When these trips go wrong, however, it can quickly turn into a nightmare, from which many people never return. Number 5. Michael Bryson, a 27-year-old man from Eugene, Oregon, traveled to his parents' house on August 4th, 2020, and he told them he was heading to Hobo Camp Campground, where he would be attending a week-long birthday party with a group of friends. His parents, Parrish and Tina, later stated that he'd made the trip with a friend and that he told them there would be raves and parties at the campsite, something he had a keen interest in as he'd often been invited to DJ parties across Oregon. Hobo Camp is described as a small, primitive campground in the Umpqua National Forest. Most people would only stay there for a night or two, as it's not conducive to stay longer since the only real attraction is a creek that's reached by a nearby path. On August 5th, Michael attended a rave in the woods, along with approximately 40 to 60 other people who were enjoying the music and drinking while using various drugs. Witnesses described seeing him in a bus, which was parked at the campsite, before he became upset and walked off on his own. Parrish and Tina would only learn of their son's disappearance at 5 p.m. the following day, 12 hours after he had gone missing. They immediately traveled to Hobo Camp to help search for Michael. By the time they arrived, Lane County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue were already in the process of a search by land and on the water. Tina stated, however, that when they arrived, none of the other campers had made any effort to look for him. They were sitting around eating, laughing, and drinking, and she felt in her gut that something terrible had happened. Parrish says that there had been conflicting reports of what actually happened to Michael, with some people reporting that he had walked away from the camp, and others saying he was picked up on the road by a group of unidentified people. More than 100 volunteers would join search and rescue teams to scour the heavily wooded area over the following 19 days. Drones were deployed to aid in the search from the air, and some search and rescue members combed the area on horseback, but after 15 separate searches were conducted for a total of 700 hours, Michael was never found. The only clue to his disappearance came on December 11th, when Parrish was contacted by someone who told him they'd seen something a mile west from Hobo Camp. Searchers made their way to the area and found some of the clothing that Michael had been wearing, despite having searched there on several occasions before. Number 4. Connie Johnson was an experienced outdoorsman who'd previously worked for the U.S. Forest Service as a wilderness ranger. She was a member of the Selway Bitterroot Foundation and often led groups on tours of the backcountry in Salmon, Idaho. Despite being 76 years old, she was fit and described by her friends as someone who knew how to survive, even if something went wrong. In October of 2018, Connie worked at Ritchie Outfitters as a camp cook in the Big Fog Mountain area near Big Rock in Grangeville, Idaho. It was an extremely remote area that could not be accessed by car, and those who travel there make use of horses or travel on foot. On the 2nd of October, a group of hunters last saw Connie at the camp just before they left for the day. The following day, they had radio contact with her, but they weren't able to understand what she was saying due to a very weak radio signal. When they returned to the camp, they discovered Connie and her dog, Ace, were missing. A search was quickly set up using search dogs, helicopters with FLIR heat technology, the Idaho National Guard, and the Clearwater County Backcountry Helicopter Rescue Team. Despite searching for less than 2 weeks, Connie remained missing. 3 weeks later, her dog Ace would arrive at Moose Creek Ranger Station alone. He was examined and fed before being taken out to look for Connie, but with no result. Her disappearance baffled police and colleagues alike, since she'd spent the last 25 years working in the wilderness, often alone, and she had the perfect skill set to survive just such a situation. Number 3. On August 30th, 2019, 27-year-old Kyle Britton made his way to Waipio Valley on Hawaii's Big Island. He was planning on going for a day-long hike on the Z Trail, so named because the trail follows a zigzag shape. It's a 12-mile hike, but Kyle wasn't planning on completing the entire trail, despite being an experienced hiker who'd loved the outdoors since he was a child. The first quarter mile of the trail is tough going, and it's not recommended for novice hikers. Following that, there are multiple gorges and hills to contend with, and 13 streams to cross before reaching the Waimanu Valley, where the hike ends in spectacular views of the Waipio Valley. At some point during his hike, Kyle came across another hiker and asked him if he knew where the bathroom was. He bid the man a good day and then went on his way. That was the last time he was ever seen. Along with Kyle's brothers, Cade and Sean, investigators managed to ping Kyle's phone off of a tower on a ridge near the top of Z Trail. But since it's the only tower in the area, they couldn't triangulate a last known location. The search for Kyle lasted 3 weeks with the help of helicopters, search dogs, rappel teams, drones with thermal video capabilities, and hundreds of volunteers. In September, drones captured footage of someone hiking on nearby trails at night without a flashlight, and searchers were dropped off in the area, which was thoroughly searched, even venturing into the ravines and searching upwards from lower areas, but no one was ever located. Police were criticized for ending their search after just 5 days, but even with the search being extended by volunteers for the next 3 weeks, no answers were ever found. Number 2. "46-year-old Patricia Tomlinson, better known as Patty, was the owner of Patty's Shack, a restaurant that's located in East Sonora, California. She grew up in the Bay Area, and since she was a child, she had a fascination with nature and anything to do with the outdoors. On April 18, 2014, Patty closed her cafe early to do grocery shopping, as she'd run out of food to serve. She climbed into her white Toyota 4Runner and headed off to the shops, never to be seen again. Her disappearance has mystified her family and boyfriend, Kevin Carter, who is also the head cook at Patty's Shack. The only clues that Patty left behind are 2 audio tapes that she sent to friends. On the tapes, Patty told her life story, but according to Carter, she seemed to be rambling, though she never speaks of hurting herself. 2 days after her disappearance, friends received letters from Patty by mail, in which she says that she's going to Kennedy Meadows to put her feet in the water. This seems like a good starting point for her search, but her car was found on April 22nd at Donnell Vista Point, more than 270 miles away from Kennedy Meadows. Inside the car, police found her purse and other personal belongings, though the car keys were nowhere to be found. The car had been rained into thanks to the sunroof being left open, indicating that she most likely didn't intend to be away from the car for long. Patty's family told police that the stress of running the cafe coupled with financial problems that she'd been having, was weighing heavily on her mind in the weeks preceding her disappearance, and that she may have been distraught at the time. As a search was launched that lasted for more than a week, no further clues were ever found. There have, however, been many alleged sightings of Patty since she vanished. Police stated that over the Labor Day weekend, they were inundated with calls and social media reports claiming to have spotted her in the Donnell Vista Point area. At first, police were receiving 5 or 6 leads per day, though that number quickly reduced to 2 or 3 a week as time went by. The sheriff's office has stated that no foul play is suspected in her disappearance, and that every lead they receive will be followed up on as the case remains open. Number 1. Michaellemaitre, a 66-year-old man from Anchorage, Alaska, was a man with a spirit for adventure. He'd competed in a cross-country skiing and cycling race on several occasions and loved going on adventures in the open water. In keeping with his love for fitness, Michael attended the Mount Marathon race in Alaska on July 4th, 2012. The race spans only 3.5 miles, but after starting in downtown Seward, racers run to the foot of the mountain, which is about a half a mile away, before running a steep and difficult section up the mountain. This portion leads runners about 2,900 feet up various cliffs, shale, and muddy terrain before reaching Race Point, a false summit which serves as the turnaround point. Here, runners' bib numbers are noted, and they take a few moments to drink water before heading back down the mountain in what some runners describe as more of a free fall than a run. After traversing more rock fields, waterfalls, and snowfields, participants head to the finish line, which is back on the Seward streets. Michael had never run this particular race before, but he was confident in his abilities and set out at 3:15 p.m. feeling good. At 5 p.m., however, a longtime runner reached the top and told stewards that he was the last one left. To be sure, the stewards waited another 45 minutes before they headed down themselves, but as they descended, they saw Michael approaching on his way to the top, more than 2 hours after the winner had reached the finish line. As they passed each other, Michael asked one steward, Tom Walsh, how far he was from the top, and he replied that it was another 200 feet away. He asked if he could still get a finish, and Walsh told him to use the descend trail to return to the bottom. Walsh asked him for his bib number and texted race officials that Michael would be down in about 90 minutes. The stewards made their way back to town, where they waited for Michael to complete the race. When he didn't arrive after 90 minutes as expected, however, they became concerned, and authorities were informed that a man was missing on the mountain. A search was undertaken by 60 mountain rescue experts, helicopters, search dog teams, state troopers, volunteers, and Michael's family. They feared that if he was injured, he would soon become hypothermic due to the rapidly dropping temperatures. After searching the race trail, the search was extended to the other side of the mountain, away from the route of the race, but they were unable to locate him. High-resolution photos were taken of the mountain and analyzed, and cadaver dogs were brought in, but despite searchers and Michael's family's best efforts, not a single clue was ever found. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.